Oh, I feel fabulous.
This is what it's like to qualify for a modern saint's calendar, the end product of a process you can buy in about 25 scattered centres for £1,000 a head.
Everybody's just wonderful. Well done. It's just fabulous to be. It's like nothing else in the world. It's really, I feel quite free and even at ease under these circumstances. Yeah? Yes, marvelous.
This is what it's like to graduate from this new kind of seminary with a degree in perfect freedom and truth. There are few dropouts, though the course may have taken anything up to 17 years.
The Hubbard College of Scientology, Qualifications Division, Department of Certifications and Awards, does hereby certify that Anthony A. Phillips has attained the state of clear.
Well, thank you very much. There is an enormous amount I could say at this point. I've been in Scientology 13 years. I've been quite closely connected with, or not closely connected, but I've seen all the research that's gone on, or a lot of it, and I've been the effect of some of it. There's so much to it that, you know, it's all I have to say, you know, it's inexpressible.
That's it. Clear 386 Lee Ecker. That's it. Clear 371 Josephine Barr. That's it. Clear 370 Janet Lunn.
These people getting diplomas are clear. They believe that for most of their lives, their true selves have been buried under a mountain of bad experiences and troubling emotions, and that at last this mountain has been shoveled away. They have found themselves. The slate has been wiped clean, and they can see clearly for the first time.
The Hubbard College of Scientology, Qualifications Division, Department of Certifications and Awards, does hereby certify that Janet E. Lundy has attained the state of clear.
Their sacrifice in time and money, their uncritical dedication to one man, seem unimportant by comparison.
Thank you. My goodness, I've never given a speech before, so this is the first one for me. But I did want to say one thing. Validate yourselves. You're beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, it's a fantastic feeling. I suppose the most incredible feeling of all was just a great vista opening up in front of me and realizing, my God, you know, there's fantastic space for achievement. And I can now expand into that space and just open up and achieve. And this was the most incredible feeling of, wow, there's a great big new horizon.
Scientologists are all convinced of this great big new horizon. Those who haven't graduated can see it ahead. Their proof is a kind of science. Getting on with each other, getting through to each other, in other words, communication, is very much a modern problem. And communication is something that Scientologists practice remorselessly.
You are by far the worst operator. Today, has there been a protest? Thank you. There we have the strand.
To them, a breakdown in communication means a niggling little neurosis blocking channels, and from this, most human ills arise.
Here is an overt pull by the PC where he told a lie to his wife. In the auditing section, I haven't demonstrated it here because I rather want to keep this simple, this demonstration, is an overt later in time when, because he stayed in bed.
Practice makes perfect, with plasticine, pictures, or any other handy educational aid. Man is not perfect until he has made himself perfect, may be the first article of faith, but proper communication is the first commandment. The central mystery in Scientology is this machine, the E-meter, recently condemned at a public trial in Washington as totally unscientific.
This is an E-meter, and all it is doing is to measure the electrical resistance of your body, that is between that can and that can, you see. Now in Scientology we know that that resistance is affected by your mental activities, all right? So if I was
Why should that be?
Pardon?
Why should that be?
Well, we're getting a bit involved there, but it's thought it does have some mass to it, and therefore it does affect the resistance of the body. Or it may bring about a chemical change in the body, so what?
Is it only thoughts that it will react to, but if I get emotions, if I'm angry with you or something, will it then react?
Well, emotions are also the same as thought. They affect your thoughts, they affect your thinking, don't they? So they would react. Emotions would react on here. Yes, quite definitely.
And Reg, when you go clear, what happens on the meter?
Well, that needle on there is, we'll just magnify the read a bit. It's a bit sticky and tight, you see. Nothing derogatory about you on this. And this would come down, this pointer would be down here to balance it off, do you see? And the needle would float, and I don't think I can, something like that I'm doing now, but that's even too jerky. It's a beautiful sight to see, particularly a Scientologist, I know, but even to anybody outside, this needle just smoothly floating away there. And it wouldn't be affected by anything.
I shall ask you for an ARC break, then I shall date it, and then I shall run a list on you, asking you about any questions that read, okay? In the ARC break you recalled, had a withhold been missed? Thank you. Had some emotion been rejected? Thank you. Had some affinity been rejected?
With people, such machines record something, but no one quite knows what. There's a story about a man who was asked whether he was Napoleon. When he said no, just such a machine recorded he was lying. In Scientology, it's a ridiculously short step from such lies to a seemingly scientific theory of past lives, in one of which a Scientologist might have been Napoleon. Faith is blind, and though Scientologists seem in some ways to be scientists in an internal laboratory, their experimental animal, their own personality, they are really just blind worshippers at the shrine of science.
I completely missed what you're trying to get with this answer. Would you repeat it?
So now that they're sort of in rapport, communication is possible. If people only knew this, men and women wouldn't have so many troubles. Husbands wouldn't fight with their wives. Wife wouldn't get mad at the husband at the breakfast table because she can't talk through the newspaper. She just gets his attention first. It would simplify things. So once you get attention, you can put a communication across.
My mother. It was fantastic. I could not get along with her.
He can reply to it, answer the question, or execute the action that's requested.
I love women. I'm single, but I've been engaged a few times. Unhappily, every time you lift the skirts, there are the clay feet.
And he then acknowledges and says something like, "Thank you, you did it. You know, good."
There have been several tremendous emotional crises in my life. One tends to look back now, of course, and see them as being rather ordinary, rather run-of-the-mill things. At the time, they were immensely important to me. They were terribly contracting at the time. You know, there were certain crises, particularly in relations with the opposite sex, which completely stopped me from acting. You know, and eventually one had to somehow break this thing down. Whatever this crisis was, one had to break these barriers down and step outside of it and somehow start anew at some particular point. I must say, looking back now, mind you, that I would not have missed these for anything in the world, these crises. And this is not that I would wish to have caused pain and suffering to anyone, but I would not have missed the experience of these things because it was these particular moments of stress which sent me on the path for truth in my terms, truth and freedom.
The churches are too presumptuous for my liking. They all claim to have the one answer, and that cannot be so. The politicians are even worse. The world's getting into a terrible mess, and I can't see it getting out of it. And we all have to have this to survive. The only real beauty in life I've discovered is truth, and that's what I've been trying to find.
Personal crisis, the inadequacies of the church. There are many roads to truth and to Scientology, but most of them lead to England.
Hello.
I'm Jim Mondier from LA.
Oh, hi, Jim.
Hi. It's cold here.
Yeah, it really
Those who
is.
take the path to total freedom take a path that eventually leads them to St. Hill Manor in Sussex. It's a pilgrimage that involves a good deal of expense and hard work.
In the beginning, I'm going to take some review work of some of the grades I've been through.
Yeah.
And then process up to level 5, and then go back and do the Dianetics course.
Americans abound. Scientology is a Californian export, and though it spawned a number of centers that still thrive in the States, the headquarters in Sussex sometimes seems a little America.
Yeah, I guess so.
Quite warm in Los Angeles when I left yesterday, 102 degrees, and about 40 when I arrived here today. Quite a
You're
contrast.
from LA?
Yeah.
There are a lot of people from LA in New York right now. You probably know a few of them.
In some ways, their trip to England reminds one of the LSD trips young Californians are currently going on. For the young, a cut-price cloud cuckoo land inside where anything seems possible. For the older or more hidebound, a mixture of science fiction and psychotherapy that gives their search for something better the blessing of a kind of science, but a science uncritical of itself.
You can fill out your address back home and what made you decide to come to St. Hill at this particular time, and names and addresses of any people you have.